husband is a big man and is 6'4". I'm 5'8". We breed big kids, and we wanted them to be in sports. And when they were growing up, and so we made them do all kinds of mess they didn't want to do. And we put our boy, when he was little bitty, we put him in t-ball. He hated it. I don't know if any of y'all have had a baby play t-ball, but for those of you who don't know, t-ball season, it's about 110 degrees outside. It's little children that are 4 look like they've got a diaper on under their baseball pants or a pull-up. The games last about 3 hours. Nobody ever hits the ball, throws the ball, catches the ball, makes contact with the ball. My baby laid in a fetal position in the outfield the entire season. He never touched a ball. Every once in a while, he'd pop his little head up and say, "Water." One game, it was so hot, and I told the middle one to go out and take her brother a water bottle. She was about 2.5, and she went walking out there with a tutu and a crown and a wand and her pink prostitute shoes from Walmart. She walked about halfway, stopped, got a glazed look over her eyes, pulled her little panties to the side, and pooped in the t-ball field. She really did. So I had to run out there and get a stick and flick it into the woods because I didn't want another child to step in it or think it was a milk dud. He would not play sports for several years because of that trauma. And then ended up playing football and cross country and a bunch of stuff, and still he likes to mountain bike and hike and do scary things, but he likes to come, out west to do it. And he's a fly fisherman. Can y'all tell I'm in love with him? Okay. All right, about the sports. I played sports. I wanted them to play sports too. I know y'all are thinking, you sissy thing, you did not. But I played basketball. Thank you. I need that. It was the early 80s when I played, and I had really big hair. I used to hot roll my hair to play ball. We all did. Okay. So, and I am from such a little bitty farming community, and it's 500 people in Middle Tennessee, and we didn't know what waterproof mascara was. So by the end of my games, I looked like, say if Tammy Wynette and Alice Cooper had a child together. I was a forward. Sometimes I had to be the center if Mary Dowling had to take her baby to the health department. My husband is very smart, does very well. We are sucking the life out of him. He is a nice-looking man, but he has a receding hairline, and he hates it. I think it's handsome, but he hates it. So I said, why don't I take you to my hairdresser, and we'll get her to buzz you one of those haircuts real close to your head, like Justin Timberlake. You know what I mean? Like real close to the head. Well, we did it, and we didn't know his head was pointed. And he said, I look like somebody, and I can't quite think of who it is. And I said, is it Bull on Night Court? He said, no, that's not who I was thinking about. And about 3 days later, he said, I know who it is. It's that lazy starfish Patrick on SpongeBob SquarePants. Daughter who's about to graduate from the University of Tennessee. She's 22. And let me tell y'all, I know every crow thinks theirs is the blackest, but let me say that she is a beauty. and she is smart, and she's done very well in school, and she's in a sorority and done well with her sorority, and she's athletic, and she's mean, and we're scared to death of her. We walk on eggshells around her. She's not mean to other people or in public. She holds it in so that she can come home and like spew it out onto me. That's okay. That's God's way. But this is what I think happens. When she was a junior, her summer between her junior and senior year, I think that God allows this to happen. And you little girls, that your babies aren't this old, just listen to me. All right, one day they'll just turn on you. And you'll think, who in the world is this? Who's coming down the steps in the morning? We don't know who this is. I think that God allows that because He knows that you're about to let your baby go off to college or whatever they're going to do, and He knows that you're grieving. So He makes them just as mean as He can so that you can let them go. And I believe that. That summer, the very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home because she couldn't stand to hear us chew. I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had to empty the dishwasher. Stuff like that. That's so hard. Okay, let me tell you about an example when she was probably your baby's age, y'all's little children, because y'all are so cute. Look, their thyroid's still functioning. Y'all still got hair. Good for y'all. Y'all got on little breeches. Yay. Okay. When my middle one, when she was in elementary school, I was so blessed that I got to take them to school and pick them up every day in my minivan. And I would watch them come out, my girls, and I saw them. They were in a good mood. I saw it. All right, they would be goosing each other and waving to all the little children and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my minivan, get in, slam the door. That middle woman take her backpack and sling me in the back of the head with it. She'd say every day something like, I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why did you have her? And the baby be sitting over the back, she'd be going, Mom, 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 Mom. And I'd say, what? And she'd go, Mom, 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 Mom. I go, what? I'm listening. She could say some of the craziest things. She said to me one day, did Jesus ever have head lice? How do you answer that? I said, well, baby, I don't know. But if he did, I know he healed it. That lives here in Chattanooga has always had a lot of suitors coming around and wanting to date her. And she had this one, and he was I wouldn't say an Eddie Haskell, but he was a schmoozer. Like he knew he was a player, okay? Their daddy's not a player, okay? My husband, he doesn't chat. Like he vacuumed out my car when he was dating me, and he bought my cigarettes, so that's how we started. But anyway, it was the 80s. But anyway, the young people call it player, some fast-talking boy. She had this fast-talking boy coming around, and And he would say to me things like, Miss Morgan, you look beautiful today. And I was like, can I make you a casserole? Thank goodness they broke up, because I was exhausted. I was mopping the floor and blowing my hair out every day. My girls are emotional, and I don't mean to talk about them because I love them and I know they'll visit me in the nursing home, but they are lunatics. My husband says they're psycho and they need therapy. And I'll give you all an example. I can be in the pickup line at school, and this has happened when they were in first grade, and it happens every day when I pick them up at school now. I'm sitting in the pickup line, and I can see them come out, and they are in a good mood. And they're goosing each other and giggling and doing and talking and having a good time. They're waving to the teachers and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my vehicle. Get in. Shut the door. My 11-year-old take her backpack and sling it and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up there in a daze. She'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. She asked me some of the craziest things. One day she said to me, did Jesus ever have head lice? How do you answer something like that? I said, well, baby, if he did, I know he healed it. And then my girls would be whipping each other in the back seat and telling each other how bad they hate each other and they wished each other were dead. And then my sweet boy will come out. He'll get in and he'll say, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. And I know that I eat emotionally, but I never wanted to ride around in a minivan on dope or alcohol with little children in the car. I didn't want to drink whiskey. So my kids would get to fighting and my husband would say something hateful like, what have you done all day? And that would make me so mad, and I'd eat a hot dog, and I didn't even know what happened. But Weight Watchers has a point system. So say you get like 23 points out of the day, and you got to go within those points, and they'll say, fruits and vegetables are free. You don't want fruits and vegetables. When you first start, you're so hungry that you could eat the wallpaper off the wall. A chicken breast is 3 points. A Snicker bar is 12 points. That's what you want. I've been known to be in the closet turning a lamp on and off, eating a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. So I try to stay within my points. All right, my sister will go on it every time I will, and she lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, and she'll call me and she'll say, it's noon, and I've eaten all my points. Taylor Swift is running the United States of America. But don't y'all know that Taylor Swift looks at that big old Kelsey boy's mama and thinks, look at her, she's got on a sensible shoe. She's got on a sensible shoe and a nice jean, a high waist with some stretch. And don't you know that Taylor Swift is thinking, I know that little doll put in a pot roast in the crock pot before she came to this NFL football game so that they would have something to eat when this thing was over. And you know that his mama browned that roast in a skillet with flour. I know. Of course she wants to have a baby with him and his people. Anyway, thanks for letting me go off on that rant. It's just been on my mind. I'm worried sick. There's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language. And they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work and they're at the water fountain and some whore comes in. God bless you. You are too, you angel. Do you have sweat going down your crack? You do? Yeah, I do too. I do too. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah. I'd hate to have to get out here and date. Let me tell you that, honey, because there's an odor. My husband and I both play sports, and we love sports. And I know y'all are thinking, you sissy thing, you didn't play sports, but I did. I should have cared more. I was worried about my hair, but anyway, we loved it, and we pushed our 4-year-old, our oldest, when he was 4, we made him do t-ball. And I was thinking about it because it's t-ball season right now. And t-ball, if you don't know anything about t-ball season, it's about 110 degrees outside. The games last about 3 hours. It's little children with looks like they got a pull-up on under their baseball pants. Nobody ever hits the ball, throws the ball, makes contact with the ball. My boy hated it and laid in a fetal position on his glove the entire season. And every once in a while, he'd pop his little head up and say, water. And my middle child was about 2.5 at the time, and I said, please take your brother bottled water out there to the field. And she was 2.5. She had her crown and her wand and her tutu and her pink prostitute shoes from Walmart on. And she went running out to the field and stopped and got a glazed look over her eyes, pulled her panties to the side, and pooped in the t-ball field. I had to run out there and get a stick and flick it into the woods because I didn't want another child to step in it or think it was a milk dud. But he refused to play sports until he was probably about in middle school. He was so traumatized by all of that. I'm in love with my girls. I'm in love with them, and they're my best friends, especially as they get older. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. But he has been from heaven. Okay, it's so wonderful. All right, well, he got married in September, and when he started bringing his wife around us, he would say to me, you have a terrible look on your forehead. And I would say, what? I don't know what you're talking about. But he said, Mom, she's my best friend, and I want to marry her. They met in college at Berry College, and he said, she's going to be my wife. And and so I tried to, it wasn't anything against her. It was anybody that was going to come in and take my boy, because he's the best thing that's ever, all right, he's like the best of their daddy. He's like everything their daddy can't be. Does that make sense? So right before the wedding, he said, Mom, she is my immediate family now. You're my extended. I'm supposed to cleave to my wife. That's biblical. And I said, why did I show him the Bible? But they had a beautiful wedding, and really, when I got in there and the Holy Spirit was there and God was in it, and I knew they were supposed to be together, and I love her. I mean, I love her. She's like another daughter to me now. And but I was freaked out. But everything is okay now. And then I got to thinking, how psycho am I that I want to keep him forever and have him live in the basement and be a weirdo? You know, that's twisted. So I was able to let him go. And I love her. She's like another child to me. I'm in love with my girls. I'm in love with them, and they're my best friends, especially as they get older. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. But he has been from heaven. Okay, it's so wonderful. All right, well, he got married in September, and when he started bringing his wife around us, he would say to me, you have a terrible look on your forehead. And I would say, what? I don't know what you're talking about. But he said, Mom, she's my best friend, and I want to marry her. They met in college at Berry College. And he said, she's going to be my wife. And so I tried to, it wasn't anything against her. It was anybody that was going to come in and take my boy, because he's the best thing that's ever, all right, he's like the best of their daddy. He's like everything their daddy can't be. Does that make sense? So right before the wedding, he said, Mom, she is my immediate family now. You're my extended. I'm supposed to cleave to my wife. That's biblical. And I said, why did I show him the Bible? But they had a beautiful wedding, and really, when I got in there and the Holy Spirit was there and God was in it, and I knew they were supposed to be together, and I love her. I mean, I love her. She's like another daughter to me now. And but I was freaked out. But everything is okay now. And then I got to thinking, how psycho am I that I want to keep him forever and have him live in the basement and be a weirdo? You know, that's twisted. So I was able to let him go. And I love her. She's like another child to me. My husband, we met at the University of Tennessee while he was stalking me. He was so tickled with me. Okay, he was getting an MBA. I was finishing up my undergraduate. He is so smart and such an overachiever that he had already gotten an undergraduate, worked for 2 years, and got an MBA. I was just finishing mine up, my undergraduate, because I'm so fun. And I thought, oh my gosh, he is so smart. He can do math. He can reconcile a checkbook. There's no telling where we're going to go, what we're going to see, how we're going to live. Well, we graduated, and he decided to buy a used mobile home business in Bean Station, Tennessee. And I know y'all don't know where Bean Station is, in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Did any of y'all ever see Deliverance? I think they filmed that there. Beautiful, beautiful lakes and pretty and all that. But so he moved me there, and he wanted me to be in sales for him at this used mobile home business. So I did that day. Until I saw a family drive up in a Gremlin with the window out and a 9-year-old smoking a cigarette. That's the truth. She lit it off of her meemaw. And that's her grandmother. Do I need an interpreter? Okay. She lit it off her grandmama. And so I quit that day, and I went home and I got pregnant that night. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I had 3 babies in 4.5 years. Yeah, it hurt. It did. I was pregnant and or breastfeeding for 6 straight years in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And let me tell y'all, when I found out about my 3rd baby, I feel terrible how I reacted, but I was so overwhelmed and so tired. But I knew that day I didn't feel right. I thought, what is wrong with me? I'm tired and I kind of feel sick. And I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick after this, because my girls were 20 months apart. So I had to know. I was crazy. I drove to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and I took my 2 babies with me and the diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you. And I went into the Walmart and bought an EPT pregnancy test. I took it in the stall, and I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me and said, "What, is it positive?" And it was. And I drove home just as fast as I could, and I called my husband at work, and I said, "You're trying to kill me, aren't you?" "Well, you're not going to, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me." He came to me in, he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, "What y'all been doing?" And he said, "We've been watching a movie, and we were kissing." I said, "Oh, that's normal. That's okay." But I said, "Baby, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg. Things can get out of control." He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, "Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen." And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, "Oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers." I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. Have y'all seen the goober mamas? The mamas that wear blue jeans to up their armpits, you know? I don't want to be like that, so I went to the Gap to get some low-rising blue jeans. Have you girls bought pants in the last 5 years? Oh my goodness, terrible. Okay. I went into the Gap, this beautiful, darling little 19-year-old heifer brought me in a pair of blue jeans to try on. I did. Okay. The zipper, honest to goodness, was about that long. And they hit me about right here. And I said to her, I said, is my stomach supposed to be hanging out over my blue jeans? It looks like a small purse. I said, are my panties supposed to be hanging out this far out of the back of my pants? She said, no, you're supposed to wear a thong. I said, excuse me, miss, but I'm a Christian. I don't use my panties for evil. So they said, you're going to, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they take you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap, or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar and white flour. I was drinking coffee 24 hours a day. My teeth got yellow. I had to have those bleached. My husband said, you are so hateful. Will you please eat a piece of white bread? But Church of God Beacon, and I did it, honey. We did it. And I mean, then they took our after picture. It took, 10 weeks later, and I did not lose that much weight. It was like 8 or 9 pounds, but my body turned into somebody else's body, honey. And it was pretty cute. And I leaned out and I thought, oh my gosh. And so then they took our after picture, and I made sure I got a spray tan. And I had a really good bra on, and I took that picture. And I'm ashamed to tell y'all, but I won that competition. Oh, stop. I don't deserve to be applauded. I know y'all are thinking, oh gosh, Leanne, that's wonderful, but what happened? What happened, Leanne? I'll tell you what happened. I did okay for about 3 weeks, and then I spotted a tortilla. That's what happened. My husband is a big old man, 6'4". Very Superman-like, broad shoulders, narrow hips. He weighs about 230, 250 if we're all on gluten. I am 5'8". I'm a big girl, and we breed big kids. So we had all these beautiful, tall children, and my girls ended up playing volleyball and travel volleyball all over the United States, but they grew to be 5'8" and 5'9". We thought they were going to be taller. They wanted to be 6 feet so badly, and I finally said, you know, do you really want to go into the transgender store and get your shoes? You know. But anyway, so my baby child grew really quick, really fast, and I think it's all that chicken I fed her. Now we don't eat any hormones and anything, but you know, back then we didn't know. So anyway, she grew really quick, really fast, and in elementary she was about 5'5", 5'6", and so she was taller than all the little children and the principal and all the teachers. And she hated it, was so self-conscious. But the good news is very athletic, very strong. And so all these teams around East Tennessee would call me and ask me, can she play goalkeeper for me in soccer? I'll buy her an iPhone. I'm not kidding. Can she play basketball for me? Because you just didn't see girls that tall and that strong and at that age. And I felt like LeBron James's mama. Is that him? LeBron James, little mama. And I lived through her. And I made her do all of that. And she hated it. She hated it. And so one day she came to us and she goes, I'm sick of all this and I'm not doing it anymore. She said, I want a cheer. I said, well, baby, we're big people, and I said, we don't tumble, but I'll try to figure this out. So I found out in the United States there's called competition cheer. And we have it here in Knoxville. It's called the Sharks. And that made me think of this. When I was a young mama, I always had a minivan. And Chuck Morgan was out making us a wonderful living, but he was gone traveling all over the United States. And I had these little children all close together, and everybody seems like they were always crying and whipping each other. And I would be white-knuckling it, trying to get somebody to a soccer practice that they really didn't want to go to. And everybody would be crying and yelling, and that sensitive baby, that middle one, would ask me deep, deep questions all the time. For example, questions about the solar system. And finally one day I said, baby, I didn't pay attention in school. Is there anything you'd like to know about Young and the Restless? And let me tell y'all, she went through a phase where she was worried that who was going to get to go to heaven. She wants everybody to go to heaven. And I remember her asking me about people, and everybody would be yelling in the back seat and hungry and all that, and her little voice would say, Mommy, is Johnny Cash going to heaven? I remember that day, and I remember what I said. I said, yeah. Yes, Johnny Cash is going to heaven. He and June have been spreading the gospel with Billy Graham all over the United States. Yes, he'll be in heaven. Okay, and I got to thinking about this when all this was in my mind. I've got a daughter-in-law we are in love with her, and she is so smart and such a good mama, and I watch her talk to my grandbabies, and she makes sense. And it's just made me look back. And I think I said some crazy mess. But I was tired. So she was worried about who was going to heaven, and she asked me about J-Lo. And this was years ago, and I'm a huge J-Lo fan. And she said, Mommy, is J-Lo going to heaven? Just let me tell y'all, I was in a bad place, okay? I was in a bad place, and I think I'd gone up a size in my pants. And she asked me about J-Lo. She goes, is she going to heaven? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I think she needs to mature spiritually. And she's going through a lot of men right now. I said it. I remember saying it, and it was wrong. And I'm sorry. And I should have never said it. One reason I shouldn't have said it, I went through as many men as J-Lo ever thought about going through, honey. It's terrible. The only difference was mine were not successful people. That lives here in Chattanooga has always had a lot of suitors coming around and wanting to date her. And she had this one, and he was I wouldn't say an Eddie Haskell, but he was a schmoozer. Like he knew how to, he was a player, okay? Their daddy's not a player, okay? My husband, he doesn't chat. Like he vacuumed out my car when he was dating me, and he bought my cigarettes, so that's how we started. But anyway, it was the 80s. But anyway, the young people call it playa, you know, some fast-talking boy. She had this fast-talking boy coming around, and he would say to me things like, Miss Morgan, you look beautiful today. And I was like, can I make you a casserole? Thank goodness they broke up, because I was exhausted. I was mopping the floor and blowing my hair out every day. And I don't do that. Let me tell you why I got played. I thought, why am I so tickled when somebody compliments me? It's because my love language is words of affirmation. Have y'all ever heard of that book, 5 Love Languages? It is wonderful, and it works. It's the real deal. My husband and I went on a Sunday school class retreat when our children were little, and we watched this little frail man talk about it. Okay, and it was on Oprah, so you know it's real. But anyway, what it is there's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language, and they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work, and they're at the water fountain, and some whore comes in. And feeds their love language. And then they feel a tingle. And then Satan swoops in. Y'all know where I'm going with that? It's a disaster. So, there's 5 love languages. There's quality time. You just can sit and watch ESPN with somebody, you know, which I don't want to. But I mean, you just sit with somebody. Okay, then there's gifts. And you can just give them a card and they feel loved. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Okay, then there's physical touch. And most women in here will go, oh my gosh, that's my husband's. Physical touch. He's on me like a duck on a June bug. But it's not that kind of nasty. I'm talking about, you know, like there's people that just want to hug you and kiss you and squeeze you and they got to hold your hand. That's the physical touch they're talking about. Okay, then there's words of affirmation. That's mine. So all my husband has to say is, Leanne, you are a good mama. Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then my love tank feels full, and then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him. And then he gives me money to get my hair highlighted. So you see how it all works out. So his love language, the 5th one, is acts of service. So I have to go and build a set of shelves in the garage for him to feel love. make sense to me. But anyway, y'all need to get that book. And I believe that God allows this when your children get in about, I don't know, junior, senior in high school, because He knows that you're grieving, because they're going to leave. And He knows that you're going to take to the bed over it. So, their junior and senior year, something happens. And they change on you. And they get to be the meanest people you've ever been around. So by the time they're ready to leave, you kick their crap out onto the curb. Her junior year, this started. Okay, the very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home. Because she couldn't stand to hear us chew. And I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had a lot on her, like she had to empty the dishwasher. And that's a lot, you know. I'll give y'all an example. Okay, at the University of Tennessee in her sorority, these girls will come home, you know, and I'll cook for them and do, and I'm tickled. All right, well, they like Memphis, Nashville girls. Well, a little girl came home with her and spent 2 nights. So I washed that little thing's clothes, and all I said to this little girl was, Katie, you're so tiny. Your little underwear looks like a slingshot. That little girl thought it was funny, and my baby went. So I got out of there. So when that little girl left, I came back in, I went, what's wrong with me saying that her little panties look like a slingshot? I wish somebody'd say my panties look like a slingshot. My panties looked like... Have y'all ever seen Mel Gibson in Braveheart? You know when they pull that big ball out and that thing looks like it's a catapult. They pull that big ball, fling it and kill a bunch of children with it. That's what my panties look like. Do y'all know who owns Victoria's Secret? I used to buy my panties at Victoria's Secret, but they started cutting me in two. All right. Do y'all know who owns it? Satan. Okay, so I took to the bed and I ate chocolate-covered blueberries that you get at Target, and I found Netflix. And I binged watched Scandal. Have y'all seen Scandal? That first season, the chemistry between the two main characters, I think something's really going on. Anyway, it set me on fire. And so I laid up in the bed and watched that and like ordered Jimmy John's from my bed. And my husband said, "Are you all right?" But I ended up getting sciatica from laying in the bed. I didn't get bed sores. I got sciatica and then ended up having to get physical therapy that cost $1,000 because of my deductible. But anyway, but I grieve so much over my kids being gone. All right, so when my husband gets home, he's as sad as I am. When he gets home, we just stare out into space. And he's very quiet. He's an introvert. He doesn't talk. He doesn't chat. So I just sit and talk to myself. And we have 2 beagle hounds, and we just sit and kiss them in the mouth. And they are yummy. And we go to bed, a lot of y'all look really young in here, and I'm going to scare y'all to death, but I'm going to tell y'all, look at these young girls right here. I'm going to tell y'all what your future is going to be, okay? All right, when you get to be about your mid-40s, you're going to start a thing called perimenopause. It's before you go through menopause, and it makes you crazy. And you sweat in the bed at night. Okay, and all your hormones get messed up. All right, I go to the bedroom, and I am so hot at night that I put the air on 68 because I don't want to die. My husband puts it back up on 70. And he says, you're freezing me to death. He's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage. Okay. He said, I can see my breath. That's a lie. But I know he is cold because one time he had to wear a toboggan. But anyway, we get in the bed, and that big beagle, who is 10 years old, a boy named Augie, who is so sweet. My husband spoons him in the bed. And then we've got a new little beagle that is a pocket beagle, and her name is Gigi, and she is so yummy. And she had a nervous tick when we got her, and she ate our couch. But other than that, I love her. And she gets in the bed, and she backs her little butthole up against my head at night, right here. And when we get, all right, so when my husband spoons that big one will roll his eyes at me and looks like, I don't want him. I want you. So when my husband drifts off to sleep, that big beagle scoots over and then gets in the crook of my legs. So through the night, I break out in a sweat because I'm in perimenopause, and it's right here in the back of my neck. Dr. Oz said it. Okay, so then I'm sweating like I've done Zumba all night. And my husband snores. It depends on if he's put on weight. If he's stressed out at work, he'll put on weight. He'll eat a bunch of white flour. And then he snores a different way. But if he's playing tennis and he's watching what he eats, this is really how he snores. He starts going, pew, pew, pew. It's enough to kill you. Okay, you can set a watch by it. Sometimes it's just a puff of air, and it's on my head with a butthole right here, with a big beagle right here. So that's your nighttime routine of perimenopause. Look at how beautiful they are. See, they still have their bloom. Good for y'all. Y'all are probably out doing yoga. Okay, I have given up. All right. I'll never forget the day that I found out about her, and I feel terrible about it now. But I was overwhelmed. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't feel good. I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick, this soon. And you know when you got to know something, you got to know it right then. I had no right then. I grabbed up my 2 babies and diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you everywhere you go, and I went to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And I bought an EPT pregnancy test, and I took it in the stall at Walmart. And I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me, he said, what, is it positive? And it was. So I drove home just as fast as I could, and I called my husband at work. And I said, you're trying to kill me, aren't you? With a slow vaginal death. Is that what you're trying to? Well, you're not going to. You better get home right now, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me. let me explain to y'all why I was so torn up. I had a 13-month-old baby girl in diapers and a 3-year-old little boy in Superman panties with doo-doo balls falling out. At the grocery store. I thought, oh my Lord, did anybody see that? I don't have anything in my purse to pick it up with. Is some little child gonna think it's a milk dud? Let's just keep on moving, everybody, just keep on moving. But God knew better than I did because she's been a doll baby, but she's ruined. And I know I'm the one who did it. I was tired and beat down. So, anybody here who has more than 2, you know, good night by that 3rd and 4th one, you got to let them do what they got to do, you know. She still cries over anything. She cries because she knows she gets her way. I said, what's she crying about? She wants your toy. Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I want to talk to y'all about, because I am 51 and going through hormonal changes. Okay, I am with their daddy, and these children all walked off and left me with him. And he's so not fun. And he can't help it. He's that way because he has to make a living for all of us. And he's got a lot on us, and all the money's going out the window. And, you know, because we got 2 in college, we just had 1 get married. But he and I are having to adjust being together for the first time in how many years, you know, before we got married. And so he sends me emoji, kissy faces, and stuff like that. But I am low on progesterone and testosterone. He's low on testosterone, praise God. I've got too much estrogen, which evidently makes you hateful and bitter and angry. And so I sweat all night, just like I've done jazzercise in the bed all night. And I wake up, I've got sweat right here in the back of my head. My head just looks like fuzz in the back. And my husband, okay, so I put it on 67, and he says, I can see my breath, and that's a lie. But he's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage, and we've got 2 beagle hounds that we're in love with because his children are gone. And so we've got a big one, and he takes the big beagle and spoons the big beagle at night. And I've got the little beagle, the little pocket beagle that we rescued, and she's got a nervous tick and eats our furniture and our fabric like a goat. But anyway, they sleep in the bed with us, and the bed is so nasty. Okay, so the little beagle, so he's spooning the big one. The little beagle backs her little butthole up to my head. And sleeps up against me all night. I love her. And in the morning, I can hear my husband when he gets up, he's kissing that big bagel and he's going, and I'm so thankful.